Hello, and welcome back to part 8, which should be our final part of this, where we're talking about MarryMe. And this is the wrapping up of the end of the film. So, again, I say this is not for everybody. This isn't for you if you just have the desire to be with somebody of influence. That ain't gonna work. You have to have the confirmation from the Lord. God has to shown you, given you wisdom of this, made sure that all things are in alignment. And if the Lord has shown you, you're in the right place. I'm not one of those types of people, because there are some people that will sit up there and say, "Are you sure the Lord told you that? Are you sure that the Lord this and that and the other thing? Are you sure?" If the Lord showed you, you know the Lord showed you, because you know the Lord and how he talks to you. If he showed you you're supposed to be in a relationship like this, then you're in the right place. Sit down, get your popcorn, keep on listening. If he has not shown you, meaning you have the whimsy thought in your mind that this is what you want to happen in your life, you have somebody that you obsessed about, all this kind of stuff, that there ain't been no confirmation, this is your own brain playing tricks on you because of the fact that you want it so badly. Because just like a lot of people that sit up there and they're like, they've been in a relationship with somebody for so long that God done told you that's not the person for you. But because you've been there so long, I'm going to hold on. You know what you are standing in the position of? The counterfeit. All right? But for those of you that the Lord has told you, the Lord has shown you, the Lord has given you wisdom, that you've prayed to him and he's constantly reminded you. That's what I said. I did not change my mind. I'm talking to y'all. No matter how far-fetched and how outside of the box this seems, for it to be possible for you. I said what I said, and I meant what I said. I done confirmed it 15 times. That's what the Lord has done. So many times that you should, on your end, weird things that they've done on their end, confirmation after confirmation after confirmation. You know this. This is for you. Come into alignment, agreement with this thing. But if it's not for you, and you just hear because you like listening to kingdom marriage words, you better renounce, denounce, come out of alignment, come out of agreement, repent before the Lord, because your heart is in the wrong posture, and uproot that thing, because it does not belong to you, and it takes severe maturity for you to do that. Because you have to sit with the Lord and come to the understanding, God, did you tell me to do that? Because you should be doing that anyway before you're sitting down and listening to anybody's words, okay? But with these words, I don't play around with this. Okay? Getting back to the film. So, he breaks up with her, pretty much. Because he's looking at her go up there and perform with this man, and they look right. He knows he doesn't look right in her picture. So he's sitting there thinking he doesn't look right, but meanwhile, she's coming to the understanding that Bastion doesn't fit no more. He no longer fits the narrative of the life that she thought that she wanted. She's in her apartment the next morning working on the song that she couldn't get the lyrics right for, and it finally comes to her and she finishes the song for On My Way to You. Everything that led up to this point was leading her to this man. There are things that have happened in your life that have prepared you for your God ordained spouse. Because you aren't on the level that they were on, you didn't see it. Because you weren't operating in the same way, that they were operating, you couldn't understand it. But God was lining you up. God was preparing you for this thing. God was having you experience very similar experiences to things that they went through, whether it was years ago, whether it was preparatory type stuff. But it's things that, and I will share as much of this with you. God has given me multiple dreams that He's shown me. You ever seen a music video where you're seeing two different people and it's a split screen? You have the guy going through a set of events while the woman's going through a set of events, but both of them are doing the exact same thing in their own lives. That's what the Lord's shown me with my God ordained spouse. He's just shown me the level that he's on. He's going through the exact same thing that the Lord is putting me through the exact same tests of. The only difference is the fact that we have a wall spiritually splitting us right now, that we can't cross the line between one another or to one another in this season. The Lord has had me praying for this man, and the Lord has confirmed through other people that He's been praying for me. Same is happening for y'all. It can feel, for those of you that know that this is your word, and those of you that know that you're called to marry somebody of influence, it can feel like the most insane thing to stand for this thing. God confirmed this thing to me He confirmed it to me 7 years ago that this was going to happen. And I have obediently been preparing my life for what the Lord has shown me. And every time I got doubtful, every time I got tired, every time He would consistently remind me to a point that I was frustrated with it. Even now, I'm to a degree that I'm frustrated with it. But I'm still standing for that relationship. I'm still standing for what the Lord has shown me. Because it ain't about what others are telling you. It was so funny this morning. My dad was watching a cartoon on TV where the people in the cartoon were trying to tell a bear that he wasn't a bear. For those of you standing for your relationship, and you can go read the community post that I posted in the community for this channel, that God has given you your identity. People are going to come against you and tell you that's not what you should do. That's not the person you should be with. That's not the person. You're here. They're there. How can you dare to believe that? They're going to always tell you the opposite of what the Lord has told you. But you have to understand what your identity is. That cartoon was talking about a bear that they were trying to tell him he was a worker at a job. And the whole time he's saying, but I'm a bear. I'm a bear. He just happened to like coffee. He went to get coffee, and because he was standing there, like, no, you're not a bear. You're a man in a fur coat that needs a shave. And he's like, no, I'm a bear. How many of y'all, whether it be that God has told you that you are creatively endowed to do this, you're called to do great things, you're called to do what have you, but the people around you say, no, you ain't called to do that. You ain't supposed to do that. You ain't nothing more than with these types of relationships. You are standing. You are believing for this thing. But if you let anybody in your circle know that you are believing for this thing, they will look at you and say, how in the world do you believe that you have the right to believe that that person would have the audacity or desire to want you? You don't have anything that fits their world. So why do you believe that you fit their world? Go ahead and watch the cartoon in the community post. It fits. But the thing about it is, you don't know what that person's thinking. He did not know. Remember, he was looking at the fact that she looked better with Bastion. She's sitting there writing this song, thinking about the fact and all of the things that she's gone through in relationships. And she said, no, I don't fit with him no more. And meanwhile, just like us, we can see our God-ordained spouse in the world that he's in the world that she's in. And we're looking at them like, nah, I don't fit there. Nah, I don't do what they do. Nah, I don't. We do this to ourselves. And God is constantly reminding us. Everywhere that this guy was going, he was seeing an advertisement about something that she was promoting. She was everywhere. He didn't even realize how everywhere she was until this moment. You know how that is? You be in a relationship or you wasn't paying attention to this person, but now that they're in your life, it's like a beacon that the Lord has put on this person, and it's like, I can't get away from this person. He walking past Christmas advertisement showing her Vitamix. He walking past this, he walking past that. They sent him the check to pay off the for his payment for spending that time with her. And he tore it up, but then they turned around and gave him the check so that he could give it to the school. He's like, it's for the school, not for you. And he's like, because you don't want it. You were interested in the person. You weren't there for the money. Some of you, the Lord has called you to be in the industries that your God-ordained spouse is in. And some of you, admit it, because of the industry that your spouse is in, the Lord has shown you he wants you there. The Lord has confirmed to you he wants you there. He's given confirmation after confirmation that he wants you in that same place. You've been avoiding it because you don't want them to feel like you are chasing after their coattail or chasing after being attached to them for their fame or their money. So if you had the opportunity and they gave you money, you'd be like, I don't want it. No matter whether you needed it or not. You'd be like, no, I don't want you to feel like, because you want them to know that you feel for them, not for money, not for fame, not for the association of having the association with them. You want them to know that you're there for them. Yeah, you're called to it, but you'd rather be like, I'm called to it, but I'm going to back off of that because I don't want you to feel like that. Am I wrong? I'm talking about some real legitimate people that are like, I'm not here for all that. So he's sitting on the couch and the daughter's trying to spend time with him, but he all depressed and she go to bed. And meanwhile, Kat is looking at the video from the night she married him on her Instagram page, and she's just feeling horrible. And the next day is the mathlon. He's got to get ready to go out of town because they're leaving to take the flight over to where it is that this mathlon is being held at. I don't know whether they're taking a flight or they are riding up there on a bus, but I think they took the bus up there. And she finds out about it. She's like, nah, I'm not going to one, let them down, because remember, she was there before Bastion came in and brought all this confusion about doing a performance anyway. She was there supporting them and supporting how they would go about going through this mathalon. So she's like, no, I'm not going to sit up there and leave them, and this mathalon's supposed to happen tomorrow. She had followed his social media account and was like, oh, the mathalon's still happening. I gotta go. So, she hears about it, and she has she has to be on either Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon that night. And she's supposed to be there with Bastion. Bastion trying to be all up, hugged up on her. But she literally was preparing to go on stage with him to sit for this interview. And as they're getting ready, he's already flirting with the makeup artist. This goth-looking makeup artist that's standing back there. She's like, wow, thinking to herself, he gonna have to change. And when she gets out there, she's like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna do this. And they're like, no, you're not gonna do what? She's like, I can't do this. I am no longer desiring to be here with you. This ain't the thing no more. I don't want this. We had what we had, but it's over. So goodbye. She literally gets up and leaves the interview. Because she knows that this isn't what is her thing no more. And as she's running out, the manager is like, where are you going? She's like, I got a mathalon that I got to catch. And she knows that she has to catch the flight. She goes through, they're like, oh, I'll set up the flight for you. And she's like, no, I got to do this by myself. And her manager knows there are people along the way that when you and your spouse are going through some stuff, you're going to have the right people at your side. The friends that when your spouse is acting foolish are going to speak into his ear and be like, look, you know that's your woman, that's your wife, that's your what have you. Go back and apologize. Same for you. And when certain things aren't operating in order, these are going to be the same angelic angel sends divine helpers that are going to get you two back together to make sure through hell or high water, even when y'all want to act stupid, they going to fight for you. He's like, I'll make the arrangement. She's like, no, I'll do it. And then she goes to the airport, gets caught up, and is like, wait. She's at the bear like, I need to get on this flight. It's like, there's no more seats on that flight. And she's like, turns around to everybody. She's like, anybody selling a seat for this flight? She's like, that's illegal. And that's what the flight attendant said. That's illegal. And the assistant, her manager comes up and said, I got you a coach seat on the flight because I knew you didn't know how to do this. And she's like, thank you, love you, hugs. And then she goes and gets on her flight. And then when she gets on the flight, she's like, because she's in coach, she wants the best food from first class sent to her. So she's like, I will pay for it. And they're like, the best that we have on here is wine and cheese. Well, I'll take that. So she pays for everybody to get the wine and cheese. The best of whatever that flight had on it. So it's like, okay. So she finally arrives and she's trying to figure out, oh my God, now I need to get to the marathon. She's leaving the airport and she's running around. She bought somebody's coat. So she's walking around in somebody else's coat. Let me tell you something. Your God-to-day spouse, they gonna be so in love with you. Y'all get into a fight. They not gonna be able to leave it as it is. I remember when I was watching my favorite show when I was watching the reruns, and the two God-ordained people got into a fight, and the God-ordained husband character, he had told her off, and she ended up going back home. It wasn't, but by the end of the next episode of her show, did he get go back into her town to come meet her, only to tell her, I only came back because I was sorry. I couldn't leave it like that. You got a dang spouse. No matter what's going on, they're going to drop whatever it is that's going on in their life to come and organize and come into alignment with what it is that they desire. To make sure that all is well with you. Period. 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 If you ain't right, they're not right. If you're not happy, they're not going to be happy. Period. And because of that, they're going to stand for whatever it is that they got to stand for. Cry, fight for, fight through. Because if you not right, they not right. Period. Period. So, meanwhile, they're in the middle of trying to prepare for this mathalon, and they're in their two groups. It's his turn, his team, and then it's the competing team that wins every year. And what's happening is, not only is the coach of the other team, meaning the chaperone and leader of that team, goading his daughter, but the other kids are being rude to her. And she has to go up there and do whatever the math problem is. And they say something in relation to her that's derogatory. And he's trying to coax her on. No, you need to do this. You're going to be all right. It's going to be all right. And they're still steady laughing at her and all this kind of stuff. And then she takes the time to dance out just like what Kat had told her. And she comes up with the answer. But because she comes up with the answer 3 seconds off, meaning it buzzed right as she said it, they ended up losing. She comes down and she starts crying about it because the other team still won. But here comes Kat, and she sees Kat showed up, and this wasn't the moment for the kids. This was the moment for him and her. She pretty much expresses the way she felt about him, and she took one of the boards that was out in the hallway and wrote on the back of it. It was a cardboard that said, it was one of the signs that were hanging up on the wall. She took two of them. One of them, she put "Marry Me," and then the other one she said again. And he agreed. So that pretty much that's what won that scenario for them, regardless of the fact that the daughter lost. But he won. He won her. Some of you aren't going to realize what you've won. Some of you aren't going to realize the blessing that you truly have in having this particular person in your life. I don't know who it was. Somebody did a video the other day, and they were making the point of saying that the feeling, I think it was Megan Michelle in one of her lives, she was talking about the feeling that you will feel in the understanding that this is your life. You get to be with this person for the rest of your life. That this person puts everything above and beyond for you, meaning they'll drop it all. They'll drop their career. They'll drop everything for you. because they love you that much. There's something that you have, and I said this in a short, I believe. Look, you got that thing, and it ain't sex. It's called, you got prayer. You got emotional life. You got something that they do not normally experience. You got that thing. You got it. You got love. You got a caring sense for this person that they have not felt in any of their relationships prior. They kept chasing the wrong person. And some of y'all know that in previous relationships, y'all chased the wrong person too. That they cherish the relationship that they have with you. And they will cherish it when it's just you two, and when it turns from you two to you four or you six. Because Beyonce was trying to make it 3. Some of y'all gonna be 4, 5, 6. Some of y'all gonna have 5 and 6 kids. Some of y'all, you ain't gonna be able to get out of labor and delivery. Because y'all gonna be having them that fast. Some of y'all are gonna be birthing projects and things. And the impact of what it is that you two do together is going to be so impactful, so powerful. But the anointing on the two of you, and I was hearing this from the prophetess I listened to yesterday. She's like, sometimes the enemy been trying to keep y'all apart for so long, so heavy, so hard, because he knows as soon as y'all get together and you have them kids, y'all get together and you start doing the projects the Lord done told you you're supposed to do. It's a wrap. Because what it is that the enemy wanted to keep that person, this person of influence, in the world. Who was talking about it the other day? 2 people mentioned this movie. I think Megan Michelle, and there's another girl I started following recently, mentioned this. I'm in love with a church girl. It was a guy that was involved in doing public relations for musicians, and he was doing some shady behavior behind closed doors, but he fell in love with Adrian Houghton, and who played Vanessa in the film, because I watched the entire movie. And but I'm not reviewing that one, I don't believe. And he gave up everything and every part of his life prior to be in a relationship and marry her. And when he nearly lost her, he ended up coming out almost a year later. They'd had a child, they were married. He became a pastor. Some of your God ordained spouses are supposed to come over to the side of God. And some of y'all are supposed to create something together that is going to, some of you are ministers, and some of them will become ministers because of the connection that they have with you. So some of y'all sitting up there worried about the fact that, oh my God, they're a celebrity. Oh my God, I don't fit with them. Some of them gonna come to your level, meaning not that they're gonna come down to where you are. Some of them are going to come to God where you are, and because they're coming to God where you are, they're about to become a beast in the spirit. Take command of the situation spiritually. They're about to become prayer warriors unlike anybody ever seen. And they're supposed, them being in alignment with you, and when it is already stated in the word that the reason that marriages are needed and necessary is the agreement between husband and wife in prayer to make major prayers go through. And that's a necessity. This is why the enemy's been trying to keep your husbands caught up, or wives caught up in alcoholism, caught up in drug abuse, caught up in sex, lust, and perversion, Because if they keep them caught up in that, they'll never come to the realization of who God is. But some of these men already knew who God was, because before they even became famous doing what they were doing, they were in the church. They were there first. So they know what's right. As a child, I thought as a child, but as a man, I put away childish things. It's time for them to put away for those childish things and come into the alignment and agreement with what God's been trying to tell them was their life. But guess what? The only way they're going to do that is if they come into alignment with you. That's why they had to let go of, remember, in Perfect Match, they had to let go of them counterfeits, because the counterfeit fit that world. You fit God's world. And that was hard for them to relinquish and let go. So because of that, they needed to come into agreement with and come into obedience with God's leading, to come into alignment with what God's told them they're supposed to be doing with their life. Some of them, it's not so much that they're going to lose their fame. They're not going to particularly lose their fame. Yes, they're going to lose the life that they were used to, but they're going to gain a life with the gospel of the Lord. And some of y'all are going to come into certain things that you're going to do together that are going to be a impact for the kingdom. But some of them are going to have to pull back. Look at what we've seen happen with Chris Tucker. He's still acting, but he just done pulled back. He won't do certain films. He won't sing. He won't. Not sing. What you mean? He won't do certain comedy, and even yet, and still, people are still hounding him like, we still want you to come back for Friday. They are actually contemplating rearranging that script for him because of the fact that they want him to come back for Friday. There will be an arrangement, but God's pulling down one and rising up another. He's about to demolish a lot of stuff going on in that industry. And some of y'all, your spouse got to come out long enough for that to happen. And when y'all come back, y'all going to come back higher, heavier, and at a higher level. The enemy don't want that. He doesn't. So, but you're going to come in, and you're going to come in as an adjusted, aligned couple, and you're going to be a whole problem for hell. And that's what the enemy's been fighting all this time. So that's my spiel. That's the end of the film. And if I don't stop now, we're going to end up getting cut off. So this is Tyler McCameron for Love, Faith, Peace, and Blessings. I hope this blessed you. Until next time, we're going to be getting into a little bit of the sexy part. Stay tuned. Because what happens after marriage? Coming up next. Bye-bye.